Hey there. So today I want to talk about anxiety and how to work with your nervous system, how to work with your mind and your body when you are experiencing some major anxiety. And I had an experience back maybe 8 months ago now that was probably the most traumatic experience I've ever had. And there was some game-changing tools, techniques that I learned during that period of time that since then, now that I've been back working again, I've been supporting some of my clients with some of these very same tools and techniques to help them recover and heal from their big traumatic events. So I thought I'd share it here in a video. And again, I just want to name, oi, it's a little vulnerable to share these things. And especially that it's soon. Like I experienced all of this, back in August, late August, so maybe 9 months ago, and I'm still healing and recovering. And none of this is a replacement for medical advice, but this is just some helpful tips, tools, techniques, perspectives that can really help you if you are suffering from acute anxiety or anxiety disorder, or even have some PTSD symptoms, just some ways to help you get through it. And, just to kind of share a little bit about what I went through. About 9 months ago now, I had an experience where I'd been having some signs and symptoms of burnout for many months. Shortness of breath, which I'd never had before, a lot of fatigue, empathy fatigue. I was overworking a lot. I kind of had a big hero cape on, and I was trying to help a bunch of clients and thought, oh, global pandemic, all right, I'm here. I'm ready to help a bunch of people. And I ended up having a panic attack late August that didn't end. For about 2 weeks, I was stuck in a panic attack where I was hyperventilating, body tremors. My nervous system was completely dysregulated. I couldn't sleep day or night, and I couldn't bring my system down. So the other things that I experienced during that time, and it ended up lasting pretty much a total of 3 months. I couldn't be on technology at all. I had major technology sensitivity. It would actually really hurt my body to be around technology, which I'd never had happen before. To be around loud sounds or dysregulated people was so dysregulating for me. It truly felt during that time like I had lost my aura. I had lost the bubble that I didn't even know was there, but once it was gone, you really knew something had been there prior. But I had lost the bubble that protected me, and I felt incredibly vulnerable and exposed to the outside world. And 24/7, there was this anxiety in my system that it felt like just this internal tremoring that couldn't calm down. I couldn't bring it down. My nervous system got so dysregulated during that time also because I wasn't sleeping and because I was having constant panic attacks, that then I started to have an issue where I couldn't even tell hot from cold. Sometimes I go to take a shower and I'd be like, I have no idea if this water is really hot or really cold right now. I actually would see swirlies and visual streams of light. There was a period of time where it felt like I was on a boat and my whole nervous system just had me rocking. There was some wild experiences I had during that time. I think another thing that I experienced that had never really happened to me to this degree was the terror thoughts. And so, of course, it makes sense. I'm going through something where my system, who I knew myself to be, had completely gone offline, and I couldn't function, I couldn't work, I couldn't take care of myself, I couldn't feed myself. And so I was in complete denial and shock. And all of a sudden it felt like the doorway to terror thoughts just opened up, and it was a tsunami of these terror thoughts. You're gonna die, you're gonna be stuck like this forever, you are going insane, you're never gonna come back, you're gonna get COVID on top of all this and die a terrible death. I mean, there were so many terror thoughts, and I couldn't rein them in for the first time in my life. It was quite wild to watch how my mind was completely hijacked by these fear thoughts. Another thing I experienced during this time was that my lungs completely got tight. And again, I had never really had this kind of anxiety before, so I wasn't really aware that when you have anxiety, this is one of the areas that gets tight. And I had shortness of breath constantly, and it really felt like someone was sitting on my chest or squeezing my chest. It was really hard. I mean, each day, each moment, just taking a breath was challenging. And then another thing that I experienced during this time was just these really acute sensations that kind of moved between my throat, my heart, and my belly. It kind of felt like my solar plexus, my heart chakra, and my throat chakra. And it really felt like when the sensations were in that area, I was being squeezed. And the sensations were all the more intense if in any way, even subtly, I overrode myself. I did something or said something that wasn't aligned with me. The last symptom I'll share here, because I know that's a lot, was just the burnout that I experienced during this time. I mean, it was, again, having never gone through anything like this, it was pretty phenomenal to watch how just getting up from my bed to walk to the bathroom, I was out of breath. At one point, I had to walk like a little old lady, just little tiny steps. Otherwise, I would be exhausted. So this was quite a journey. 2 weeks of panic attacks, and then after that, about 3 months of recovery where I was still navigating and trying to manage these symptoms. And during this whole 3 to 4 month period, I found that there was these specific tools and practices that were really a game changer for me. And so I wanted to share a little bit of those here. And again, just to like take a pause and a breather, like it's easier now to talk about those symptoms, but man, when you're in it, it was truly my personal hell. Like you couldn't have scripted a hell zone more for me than that. And it was really terrifying, especially to have never gone through anything like this and to have no template for like, what is this? What's happening? And am I going to get through this? So just to name a few of the tools, if you are someone who has suffered or is going through something like this, I have one client right now who is having massive dissociation experiences, another client who's navigating just severe health issues and so is having a lot of anxiety as a result of that. And, you know, this kind of trauma and PTSD and anxiety can really be sparked from a variety of issues, but there are some ways just to help soothe our system and bring things back down a little bit. One of them is the breath, which is just so obvious that it's easy to forget it. But every single day, just reminding yourself to take deep, slow breaths with a focus on the exhale, which really sends signals to the brain that I'm safe. It helps engage that parasympathetic nervous system and calms down that fight-flight response, that sympathetic nervous system. So those deep, slow breaths with a focus on the exhale are key, like game changer key. Another thing that I learned during this time was that anxiety brings our energy up. We go mental, we try to figure it all out, all the energy's up here. And to really soothe our system, we have to bring everything down. And so when I would take those deep breaths, I would be breathing down into my belly, imagining I could breathe down into my hips, my legs, pressing my feet into the ground. There was periods of time where I would just crawl around on the ground and just get as low to the ground as possible. Sitting on the ground, laying on the ground, anything that just brings your energy down is super supportive. Another thing is the thoughts. So like I shared, it's really common, and I have a few clients struggling with this right now, but it's really common for our thoughts to start to completely hijack us. And again, it makes sense. Our mind, our ego is trying to protect us, is saying, whoa, something intense is happening and we need to figure out what this is and we need to protect you. But what we know with neuroplasticity is that the more that you feed and engage those thoughts, the stronger and more fortified those neural pathways get. And we need to shrink those neural pathways of those negative, dark, gloomy, scary thoughts. And the way that we can do that is by not feeding them, number one, and choosing a different thought, choosing a more positive thought. Sometimes we don't even have access to choose a more positive thought. So it's really just a matter of not engaging that negative thought, not engaging that scary thought. I'm going to die. I'm going to be stuck in this forever. I'm going insane. That thought starts and you just literally cut it off. You nip it in the bud and then you go to a different thought. I mean, I'd literally just be like, what's for dinner tonight? Purple elephants. I'm going to look at that fly buzzing around the room. Just something that takes your attention somewhere else is huge. And I had to be in that thought kind of controlling my thoughts practice for months to begin to really kind of shrink down and disarm those voices, essentially. So that is a huge one. Next one is focusing on the small achievements and appreciation. So this is also a really huge one. What we appreciate grows is something my teacher, Katie Hendricks, always said. And that one is just lodged in my brain. But what you appreciate grows. So if you want to grow more of these positive feelings, even if there's just a little bit of positive feeling today, you want to grow it, just say, oh, I'm feeling a little bit softer today. I'm feeling a little easier today. Wow, thank you. Thank you, body. Thank you, Juna. I so appreciate this moment. Or, wow, I don't feel as acute with my anxiety in this moment. The next thought could be, oh my gosh, but it's going to come back. No, just appreciate that in this moment, my anxiety is a little less. And for me, with my boyfriend, I would say each day I had to. I mean, this was really literally a lifeline for me, but I had to focus on what was shifting today, what was a little bit better today. And some days, if we're honest, it was not a better day than the day before, but I had to focus on it because it really felt like, oh, this is helping me get through this and not feel like I am going insane. And so I'd say, today I left the house and I walked for 2 minutes outside. And he'd be like, good job, Juna. I'd be like, yeah. And immediately it'd be so easy to think about a negative thought. Be like, no, I'm gonna keep appreciating myself for these small, even microscopic wins. And to thank our bodies, because your body, your nervous system is trying to heal. And so to appreciate it instead of being mad at it is really, really important. The next thing is, there's this, when I worked in companies and I would teach about kind of leadership skills, we use this analogy about the elephant and the rider. And so if you think about a big, huge elephant, and then on top is this little dude, this little rider who's riding the elephant. And the elephant represents our emotional brain, this big, huge, slow part of our brain. And the rider is the logical brain. It's like the kind of like can see what's going on. It understands what's happening. I'm having a nervous breakdown. I'm having anxiety or PTSD symptoms. Other people go through this. The logical mind is the little rider, but he's small. And he has to drive this elephant. And so, this is an analogy I used recently with a client, which is you have to help that elephant, that emotional brain, try to grasp what this smaller part, this logical brain, is grasping. And again, we do that through appreciation. We do that through reminding the elephant, reminding our emotional brain there is progress happening. I'm really proud of you. We have to keep going. You do that through helping the emotional brain really just feel I am safe. Even though I'm scared right now, I'm still here. I'm safe. I have maybe some support around me. Whatever it is that you can do to really anchor that elephant in reality. And one of the key things I like to do with clients is because I'll watch them and they'll say something logically, but they have to bring it down to the elephant. And so one of the key steps I invite for people is when you're saying something out loud that's kind of from the logical brain, take a deep breath and see if you can imagine dropping that logic, that awareness of reality and what's happening, bringing it down to the elephant, bringing it down to your emotional brain, bringing it down to your body, which is, I am doing better today. I'm feeling a little bit more stable today. I have support around me. I'm not going to go crazy. Like just those statements, again, not just like, I think what I'm trying to say here is that a lot of times I watch people speak from their writer to their writer, and they don't actually drop it down and bring it into the emotional brain. And the way that we really do that is through the soma, is through our body and the felt sense. So bringing that logic down into the body, into the felt sense is a really big one. Next thing is acceptance. And this one is a hard one. I actually shared this with a client. I'm getting hot. I shared this with a client the other day, and she was really mad at me. But this one is really, really key. And you know, the way that I challenged my client the other day is I said, okay, and what if this is your reality? What if this is your reality for a little while? And she looked at me with these wide eyes and was like, I can't believe you just said this. And I just said, you know, it's not that acceptance isn't the same thing as I want this. This is great. I want this to stay. Acceptance is a willingness to be with this and a willingness to be with ourself in this experience, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's terrible. And this is not an easy thing to do. And there are times when we can't accept this. And I was definitely in a lot of moments and a lot of days where I was like, this is too acute. This is actually, if a 10 out of 10 is like the most severe, intense terror and pain I've ever experienced, I'm at like a 15. And at those points, it's like, I can't accept this. We need this to end. But there is a certain point where I feel like acceptance and that practice of acceptance is really important. Because what it does is it supports us in being here with ourselves. And I feel like the true healing from a traumatic event, from anxiety, from whatever's going on deeper, the true healing happens when we land here with ourselves a little bit more to the best of our ability. And I think acceptance really helps us do this. It helps us ground in present time. And so that was a really big practice for me, was learning to accept this is here. And this is not favorable, this is not what I want, but this is what's here right now, and can I be with this? And can I be with this as long as it lasts? Because I don't know when this is going to end. I can read online, I can talk to other people, but the truth is I'm on a journey here and I don't know. But can I be with myself in this? And that's a really big piece. Last piece, number 6, is connecting with your soul. And I feel like, whether you call it your essence, your soul, your wise self, there's an unshakable you deep in there that is here, no matter what is going on out here, whatever happens to you. There's an unshakable you in the center. And that is one of the biggest gifts for me in the experience I went through. I went through hell, but I met my unshakable soul, the pure and true me that's unwavering and that is here. And she is strong. And so I invite you to do practices where you meet your soul, just putting your hand even on your heart and imagining meeting her, saying hello, feeling your soul. These are just huge ways that I feel like really anchor us back home in ourselves in the face of something major. I also think I'd share that, a lot of times for those of us who have panic attacks and anxiety. It's really soul tantrum. It's your soul saying, you are not listening to me. Listen. And so I feel like the path towards healing, the path towards coming home, means finally turning to face that part on the inside that's been trying to get our attention maybe for a long time, and saying, hello, what do you want to share? I'm right here, I'm with you. And that's also been huge for me and with some of the clients I've been working with, is just meeting your essence, meeting your soul, and starting to feel that pure, unwavering, unshakable self that's in there, even if it's just this big right now. And starting to create a dialogue for greater healing and integration of this big experience. So these are a few, 6 of the core perspectives, techniques that have really guided and supported me. And I know this is a little bit of a longer video today, but thank you for being here, and wishing you well in whatever journey you're on.